forced pregnancy, marriage are now recognized war crimes in latest Hague conviction. The landmark war crimes case expands the world's collective understanding of how sexual and gender-based violence is used as a tactic of war.
Here's a summary of the article.
Forced pregnancy and forced marriage are now internationally recognized as war crimes upon the recent conviction of former child soldier Dominic Ongwen at the International Criminal Court of The Hague in the Netherlands. The landmark war crimes case expands the world's collective understanding of how sexual and gender-based violence is used as a tactic of war. Ongwen, who rose to be a high-ranking commander in the Lord's Resistance Army, was convicted on 61 of 70 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity. A number of these charges were sexual and gender-based crimes including forced pregnancy, forced marriage, rape, sexual slavery, and more, brought by 7 women whom he kidnapped and held captive. Ongwen's conviction marks a coalescing of international legal understanding around sexual and gender-based war crimes that started in 2002 with the Rome Statute, the treaty that established the International Criminal Court. At least 2 other war criminals have been convicted of sexual and gender-based war crimes in The Hague, Jean-Pierre Bemba Gombo in 2016, a conviction that recognized rape as a tactic of war, and Bosco Taganda in 2019, a conviction that expanded legal definitions of victims of sexual slavery. The survivors of the LRA's sexual and gender-based war crimes have had difficulty reintegrating into society, facing social stigma for their abduction and sexual abuse, as well as resentment for their forced participation in carrying out violence against others.
This post received a score of 37,000, with an upvote ratio of 94%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Does it include violation in peace times? It's not uncommon that victims of sexual violence are required or forced to marry the perp. Not in legal way, more out of court settlement way.
The ICC only deals with war crimes, crimes of aggression, attacking nations, and crimes against humanity. So that would be outside the scope unless it was being done systematically as part of a genocide.
A commonly cited example of this is how military use of hollow-point bullets is considered a war crime, which originated from a treaty older than Geneva banning expanding bullets that cause massive tissue damage, but it's totally okay for civilian police.
While hollow points are absolutely designed with expansion and tissue damage in mind, there are other reasons. Primarily these are related to overpenetration. A HP round is much more likely to stop inside of whatever it hits, minimizing the risk to anything or anyone behind the target. A ball round can fly right through soft tissue, drywall, car doors, etc. and be very lethal behind it. Something to consider when most police shooting accuracy in hovers between 30 and 50%. It's also important to issue them whilst subscribing to the fantasy that American police only use their weapons to end a deadly threat.
In other words, the practice of taking comfort women during the Japanese occupation of Korea in the early 20th century could now be formally recognized as a war crime. If so, a massive win for those women, a few of which are still alive.
Greater than the practice of taking comfort women during the Japanese occupation of Korea, they did this too in the Philippines. Few years ago, there was a plan to erect a statue to honor and remember the comfort women, but government scrapped the plan after the Japanese embassy raised objections. Don't get me wrong, Japan has a good rep in our country right now, but that complaint just reeked of denial and historical revisionism.
That's Japan for you. Can't every criticize past actions or even really acknowledge that they happened? Cheeky smiley face.
The only people who have to worry about the Geneva Convention is the people who lose the war.
Even then you might not face any penalties.
Depends. Is there a common enemy that the defeated nation has with the victorious one? Then absolutely not.
I assumed this was done already. Genuinely want to cryo-freeze for 100 years till the world sorts its shit out already. We have all the pieces right now, just so freaking slow.
I can't be the only person who thinks the world will be more fucked up in 100 years than it is now.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.